Hey guys, for you that don't know, my name's Robbie Norris, and I'm here tonight to share my testimony. Why don't you come on with us and take a little ride, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. I guess you guys are probably wondering what in the world I'm doing here tonight, sharing my testimony. Be honest with you, I'm kind of wondering that myself. Tommy Bolger approached me a week to 10 days ago and asked me would I be interested in sharing my testimony. And at first, to be honest with you, I got a little bit nervous about it. Not from the standpoint of sharing with you, but I don't have one of those spectacular Tommy Head, Harold Morris, drive, I shot a man testimonies. However, the more I thought about it, there's probably a lot more folks out there that have a testimony similar to mine than they do Tommy Head or Harold Morris or Tommy Bolger, for that matter. The second part of that is you're probably wondering what in the world we're doing driving around and doing it while we're traveling in a car, and that's Gavin Smith's fault. Gavin approached me once I signed on board. Gavin approached me and said he kind of wanted to do things maybe a little bit differently or try some different things, and of course I was up for that. It was kind of funny because Gavin said, well, tell me what kind of hobbies you have. Do you cook, or what's some of the stuff you do? And I said, well, other than I'm a closet cross stitcher or sports related, that's all about it. So anyway, we decided not to cross stitch, and kind of want to talk to you a little bit about how sports and all that plays into sort of my testimony and where I'm at today, actually. Well, you guys are probably wondering what the heck we're doing now in the gymnasium. Gavin and I both figured that we'd gotten your car sick, so we decided to bring it, back inside. I mentioned earlier just about sports being such a huge part of my life, and so we thought it'd be fun to come in here and shoot a few hoops. So the goal is at 10 feet, so I don't want to hear anybody talking any junk. I've just grown a lot since then. Anyway, two things made a huge influence, or a big influence on me and my Christian life and walk. I heard the gospel from a very early age, and it was at about 6 years old that I sat on the front row of the church, just like I do now, and I heard my dad talk about hell and being separated from God for eternity, and it scared me to death. And he picked up on the fact that something was bothering me, even during the service. And so afterwards, he got me in the back room of the house and told me the gospel story about how God died on the cross to save me from my sins and rose again. And so it was then that I accepted him as my personal Savior. Part of that also was the fact that it started me on a journey where, I guess through the way he was brought up in a very legalistic home, that Christianity and church and all that was never shoved down my throat. Dad and Mom always let us sort of figure it out for ourselves. They were always there to encourage us and support us, but they didn't force this Christianity thing or this church thing down our throat. Another big deal, and many of you might know this, you might not, but I was born with a small left hand. In fact, in my circle of friends, it's known as the baby hand. And I struggled with that in my life early on. And it was, I guess, probably about 8, 9, 10 years old that I realized that, I had some abilities on the athletic field, and it was with athletics, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, that I could really shut kids up, I guess, from making fun of me. It was tough growing up. However, it was really neat to see how that molded me really into the person that I am today. And so if there's any of you out there, I know we all struggle with things, whether it's physical or whatever. Listen, God can use you, believe me. Does that mean that I lived a perfect life and that everything was, just great? I wish I could say that, but I guess it was my senior year of high school that we won the state championship in soccer that year, and went to the victory party and really had my first drink. And it led me through about a 3-year period of time of running from God, really, and wanting to do the things that everybody else was doing, the popular crowd and the drinking and so on and so forth. And it was really interesting that at that particular time was the point in our family's life where the church at Sandhurst was really coming into being. I was sitting on the end of my buddy's bed, and we had just totaled his dad's Blazer on the way home from a Carolina football game. And he looks across the bed at me and he says, "Robbie, you're going to have to go with me to tell my dad that we've totaled his Blazer." And I said, "Look, dude, I'm not going with you to tell your dad. You're going to have to do that on your own." And he said, "No, you'll have to go. You're the preacher's kid. He'll believe you." And it was just like a ton of bricks hitting me. I knew right and wrong. I knew what I should be doing. And it just hit me at that point that, I was living a life that was not pleasing to God. And that was probably about 3 a.m. in the morning. It's interesting how God works, because probably about 8:45 the phone rang, and it was my father, and he was standing on the front steps of the YMCA, and he said, "Robbie, I just wanted to call you, tell you I love you. I've been thinking about you. We're getting ready to start one of our first services here at Heritage Church at the time, which is now Church at Sandhurst. And I just wanted to let you know that I love you and I care about you and was thinking about you." And man, I couldn't get my bags packed fast enough that day because I knew that God was tugging at my heart again to get me back or to bring me back to Himself. And so it was that particular afternoon. I think I packed my bags, moved to Florence, and I've really been here ever since. Oh, get some of that. I guess, guys, it sort of sounds like once I moved back to Florence that, everything's just been wonderful ever since. And I wish I could tell you that was the case, but a lot of y'all know me and you hang with me on a weekly basis, and that's not the case. In fact, you might know, some of you, that I'm actually struggling with some employment issues right now. But I know God is in control, and I know He's got a plan for my life even at this point. Hopefully, something I've said tonight, whether it's from athletic standpoint, something you're struggling with physically or otherwise, maybe something I've said has struck a chord with you. And I'd love to talk with you about it. So I'm available. And just thank you for this opportunity to share. Y'all have a good night. Get some!